Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
All of our guests today, including Craig Button, standing by, brought to you by the Waddling Dog Pub. February 22nd, Ryan just talked about it. The dog will be hosting a fundraising night in support of the Canucks Autism Network. It will include raffles for Canuck tickets, signed Canucks jerseys, a 50-50 draw, silent auction, and a meet and greet with Kirk McLean. The event will begin at 6 and will include a watch party with Kirk for the Canucks versus Kraken. At 7 p.m., you can listen to Kirk rip into the Canucks against the Kraken. All net proceeds will be donated to the Canuck Autism Network. Another reason to come sit and stay at the Waddling Dog. We're joined now by TSN Scouting Director Craig Button. Craig, thanks for doing this, sir. How are you?
I am great. How are you guys?
Good,
Lovely.
Good. We haven't talked to you for a week or so, and so we'll ask you because this happened in between then and now. Elias Lindholm, you're in Calgary. I don't know if you're there now, but you live there. You know him well, or at least you know how he plays well. What's he going to do for the Canucks?
Well, he's a really good, strong two-way player, and you can play him in any situation. You can play him on the power play. You can play him on the penalty kill. You can match him up against other teams' best players. He complements everybody's game so well. So it gives Rick Tocchet so much flexibility. Like he's a flex player in with respect to being able to move him around the lineup, have him play with different players. You know, he had so much success in Calgary because no matter where you put him, he got the most out of himself and he got the most out of others. And when you have that type of player that you can put out on the ice and you know that he's going to be productive in whatever you ask, in whatever area you're asking him to be productive, I think that his type of player is very, very rare, and it strengthens the Vancouver Canucks. It takes pressure off of Pettersson and Miller with respect to penalty killing. So now you have somebody that can penalty kill, allows them a little bit more ability to be fresher offensively. Deeper, stronger is what the Vancouver Canucks did with this trade.
Yeah, you mentioned versatility, Craig. Rick Tocchet has him lined up on the right side, right wing with Elias Pettersson. How will he do on the wing versus center with the Canucks?
Again, he's a flex player. I think you can put Elias anywhere. And, you know, again, so you have Pettersson and you have Lindholm out on the ice together. There's no vulnerability in the faceoff circle, no matter where you are on the ice. You have a right shot guy that can take the faceoffs in one area, and you have the left shot guy in the other area. And the way the game is played, it's not played up and down in straight lines. There's a flow to it, and there's movement. And, you know, the ability of Elias Lindholm, his hockey sense is outstanding. So now he'll be able to read off of Elias Pettersson and be able to, if he's got to be in a defensive posture, he'll do that. If he can be offensive, he'll do that. So I don't think it's so much about him playing on the wing as much as it's his abilities to think alongside elite players. Everybody thinks it's easy to play with top players. It's hard to play with top players because they play at such an elite level intellectually and they play at such an elite level physically. And you got to be able to match those areas. Now, there's very few players in the league that are physically as gifted as Elias Pettersson. That's why you got to be able to think with those guys. They need the puck at a certain time. They need to understand where you're going to be so they can get you the puck. That's where Lindholm complements Pettersson so well.
Andrei Kuzmenko, the other side of things, Craig, can he resurrect his career in Calgary?
I don't think there's any question he can resurrect his career. I mean, he had a little bump, and that happens. I mean, were we not asking the same question about Brock Besser last year? Could he resurrect his career? Good players don't get to be good players by accident. Kuzmenko was a really good player in the KHL. He was pursued by so many NHL teams. We saw what he did in his rookie year with the Vancouver Canucks. And there's no question that he can get back to being a dynamic scorer. And certainly, you know, Rick Tocchet comes in. I mean, the calculus changes in terms of how he wants his lineup to look and what he wants to do with certain players. And that left Andrei on the outside looking in. But no question in my mind with that type of skill, do I think that he can't get back to being a really good, and when I say good player, I'm talking 30 goal scorer.
Hey, Craig, the Canucks landed a big fish, but what would you do now? Would you add some more, or there's concerns about chemistry? Rick Tocchet said, if you add too many guys, you upset the apple cart. We still got a month to go for the trading deadline. Would you add some more?
Well, you only upset the apple cart if you if you tip it over. Adding good players and making your lineup stronger, players get excited. Players get celebrate that type of thing. And so now, what I would say is where are you trying to strengthen your team? I mean, we've seen, if we go back a year now, Rick, and we go back to last year, trading for Roenick. I mean, they used the first round pick they got from Bo Horvat to get Philip Roenick. He's been an excellent addition to the blue line. Then they go in the offseason and they sign Ian Cole, a really good, strong competitor, somebody that Rick Tocchet knows well. Soucy ends up getting hurt, but another good addition. They make the trade for Zadorov. They make the trade now for Lindholm. They trade for Sam Lafferty. All they've done is continue to strengthen their team. You've heard me say this many times. The Vancouver Canucks had great goaltending. They had really good offense. Their blue line was not good enough, and their defensive play wasn't good enough. And those go hand in hand. The blue line's really strong. Their defensive play is really good. And to me, I think if you can strengthen in a specific area, you can do that. That would be deeper down the forward group if there's somebody out there. Everybody talks about, you can never have enough defensemen come playoff time. But I think the Vancouver Canucks are positioned really well. I think that Patrick Allvin, he's acted in a manner that has made the Vancouver Canucks a really good team and a team that has performed admirably to this point in the season. And I think going into the playoffs, they're a contender. Now, at the beginning of the year, I never thought I'd be saying that, but I was looking at their roster as it was. Now they clearly are a contender for the Stanley Cup, and that's a credit to the strength of their team. I don't think they have to do anything significant. I would say it'll all be about depth and adding a player here or there in case of a player going down. You lose Quinn Hughes, you're not replacing that player. You lose Elias Pettersson, you're not replacing that player. And I don't think that'll happen. But you want to strengthen and just have a little bit more depth deeper down your lineup. I think that's all that's all I'd be looking at if I were the Vancouver Canucks.
Craig, the NHL has announced they're going back to the Olympics. What do you think of that? How happy are you about that?
Well, I think we're all happy. I mean, we can't forget that the NHL had committed to the Olympics in 2022, but the pandemic and the fact that it was in China created obstacles that nobody could overcome. So, now with the announcement that 26 and 2030 we'll see NHL players back in the Olympics, I think it's fantastic. We've seen how great the competition is with NHL players, the best on best at the Olympics. We also saw what we were missing in 2018 and 2022. So, when the genie's out of the bottle, there's no way you can get the genie back in. Bottom line is the NHL players back in the Olympics is just fantastic news for hockey fans all around the world.
Craig, Calgary, Lanny McDonald suffers a cardiac event on Sunday. He survives thanks to two nurses at the Calgary airport. Can you possibly put into words, and again, you live in Calgary, can you possibly put into words what he means to that city?
Wow, I mean, he what I would say is when it comes to the Calgary Flames, I mean, you could put his face on the emblem and that would represent the Calgary Flames. I mean, Lanny was a great hockey player. He's continued to be a great ambassador for the city. So when you hear that news about Lanny, everybody kind of takes a deep breath and then exhales nicely to hear that it all turned out well. I mean, it's a great example of people being aware and understanding, hey, wait, something's going on here. The nurses acted. Lanny's in good hands, and bottom line is that Lanny has been just terrific for the day he arrived in Calgary, and certainly great news to hear that he's on the mend, doing well, and as he said, hey, the old ticker sometimes gets a little jump there, and now they'll find out what he needs to do, and he'll move forward. I mean, Lanny is a fantastic person, and we know he's a Hall of Fame player. He's a better person.
Yeah, all the best to him. And very quickly, Craig, ratings way up for All-Star Weekend in Canada. TV ratings. What was your takeaway from what happened in Toronto?
Yeah, I mean, Toronto's a great hockey market. You bring everybody in there, you bring the celebrities in there. They made it fun. You have the best players competing in a skills competition. I mean, what you're doing, I think Connor McDavid said it best. He said, we're here to put on a show. And he says, I think we put on a pretty good show. A pretty good show? I think they put on a great show. People want to come out and see the best players, the superstars in the game, at their best competing against one another. That's exactly what they got.
Perfect. Craig, thanks so much for doing this. We'll talk to you next week.
We will. Look forward to it. Thanks.